Hello, in this presentation we will pay sales tax that have been collected for sales made in the past within QuickBooks Online. We will have a comprehensive QuickBooks Online course soon, if not available yet. We also have a comprehensive Excel course which complements the QuickBooks courses and a QuickBooks Pro desktop version course you can find at the link below. Here we are with the QuickBooks Online dashboard. We will be continuing with the Get Great Guitars problem, paying the sales tax at this time. First, we want to take a look at a report and see where the sales tax is at, and then think about how we're going to pay the sales tax. So we're going to go down to reports over here, left side, scroll down to the balance sheet and run the balance sheet. And we will change the dates to 01/21 to 02/28/21, February 1st, 2021 to February 28th. This is the month that we are running this problem for. If we scroll down then to this, we'll run that report, by the way, then we run the report. And then we scroll down and see what we have here. We're looking at the liability section. And as we've been creating invoices, as we sell inventory, in our case guitars, we are required to collect the sales tax by the area that we are in. And we're putting that sales tax into a payable account that's called California State Board of Equalization, because we're recording the sales tax, or most of the sales we have made have been in California. So this could just be like a sales tax payable account. It's a liability account. It represents what we owe. So here is our amount. Once that has been set up, and it'll all be there by us setting up the invoices properly and collecting the sales taxes on the invoices. For instructions on that, take a look at the prior presentation. At this point in time, we're saying that all the sales tax has been collected and we need to make the payment. Now the payment's going to be really dependent, of course, on where's our location. Sales tax will differ depending on where we are at. And so the idea of sales tax, again, is pretty straightforward, but the application of it will differ or vary in terms of what's the percentage of sales tax, which we'll just apply that sales tax percent to collect it. And then when do we have to pay it is the other kind of tricky thing in terms of sales tax, meaning how often do we have to, we're collecting this money, of course, how often then do we have to write the check to, in this case, the State Board of Equalization, or whoever is the person who is collecting the sales tax. And typically it depends really on the location, and depends on how much sales we make sometimes. So standard rules would typically be that we might just require sales tax monthly or quarterly, or possibly even yearly. And that could differ based on location, and it could also differ obviously if we make more money, then the taxing agency will probably want that money sooner. So if it could be the case that if our revenue is over a certain amount of revenue, depending on the location, then maybe they want to get paid more often, monthly or even semi-monthly or something like that, rather than waiting till quarterly or even yearly. If there's not that many sales happening, they might be perfectly happy to say, hey, you just pay quarterly or yearly. We're going to be paying monthly here. So we're going to have this amount that we're going to pay now. This is for the whole time period up through the current date, which we're going to say is sometime in February. If we want to just pay monthly, we just want the amount that is going to be paid for the month of January, even though we're in February. So January happened. Obviously, we had to collect all the sales tax for that time period. We have it now, hopefully. And by the end of February, that's when that sales tax is due. So we're going to write the check sometime towards the end of February for the sales tax collected in January, which means we really want to see this report, what is due as of the end of January, not the end of February. So we're going to change this report. I'm going to change it to 01, or let's do this. Actually, I'm going to just scroll down and don't change that report. And we'll click on this item and we see all the detail here for the 2 months. Now, of course, again, this amounts down here, the sales that happened in February, these are the current sales. If we change the date now to the beginning date in this report, and the transaction report detail to 01/01/21, so January 1st, 2021 to February 28th, and run that report, then we'll see the items for January and February. And really, and that's what's making up this 223. So before this point in time, there was nothing there, and this was our first item. So what we want to do then is really stop this at January. So I'm going to change the end date now to 01/31/21. So January 1st, 2021 to January 31st, 2021, run that report. This is really the activity we want to pay in February. So this is what was collected, or this is what we got, charged our clients for, our customers for January, that we want to pay now. So to do that, the online version has this nice sales tax center over here. And so the tax center is on the left side. If we select this item, this is where we set up our sales tax. We set up the areas in which we owe sales tax. Now, because we're working this problem in the future, we have a bit of a problem here, because the sales tax is telling us we have to do this real time. So the sales tax is saying, hey, nothing is due right now. Why? Because we entered all our sales as of 2021. So there is a bit of a timing kind of issue with the online version. You don't enter the dates that you want to pay for. It's basically saying that as of this point in time, there's nothing going to be due. So what we're going to do then is we're going to actually write a check. If we had this item set up and we were running in real time, then it would tell us what would be due at this point in time, and we could basically run the report and say, hey, I want to pay for the month of January, and then write a check. In essence, all we're doing is writing a check now for what is due. So that amount, that system here isn't showing up because we're running a problem in the future. If we had not been, it would be saying, hey, this is how much is due at this point in time. Do you want to pay it? And then we can go through and pay it through this process, through this screen. What we can see here is our sales tax settings, which we set up as we set this items up. We're monthly currently, so that'll help us to basically track this and say we're going to pay it on a monthly basis. And we got these 3 items that we set up in terms of who we're paying in terms of sales tax. We went over this in a prior presentation. It really depends on where your location is that you're making the sales, and where the billing address is for the sales tax that you're setting up. And then QuickBooks will set this up pretty easily if you have that information ready to go. I'm going to go back to the sales tax. Then we'll take a look at the report one more time. So here's our report, and we could take a look at the liability report. And this is really just another of the same thing that we looked at. So it's set up this quarter. We could set it up for this month, and it'll go through these items. But of course, we're working in the future again. So we're going to change it to 01/01/28 or 21 to 02/28/21. So January 1st, 2021 to February 28th, 2021, the time period we are working in, and then run that report. And in essence, we should see the same. So I ran that report again, January 1st, 2021 to February 28th, 2021. We ran that report, and here's the items that we have. So it's breaking it out between the components of the sales tax for the state, and we get this $223.37. Again, remember that that's really going all the way through February, and we're really just calculating the liability again. This is just what we saw on the balance sheet, what is owed. All we have is a payable, just like a credit card payable or an accounts payable that we need to pay off now. Specifically, of course, in this case, a sales tax payable we need to pay to the state. So we really want to change this once again to 01/31/21, the end of January. And if we run that, we get the $123.37. That's the amount we want to pay off. So we're going to write a check for that. Now, again, we're not going to go through the system to do that because the system makes us have this date to do that. We're just going to go through and write a check. In essence, that's all we need to do for what is due as of the end of January for sales tax. So to do that, we can go up to, let's go to the plus item up here, and we're going to go to the vendors section, and we're going to just write a check. And we got the normal check process here. So the people we're going to write the check to is the California State Board of Equalization. So here we have it here, California State Board of Equalization. This is just who we're going to pay the check to, and it depends on who's collecting our check in terms of the agency. We're going to set that up as a vendor. We're going to say that is a vendor. And so we have the mailing address here. We're going to give it the date that we're going to write this is as of the end of the month, 02/28/21, February 28th, 2021. It will be coming out of the checking account. We're not going to print the check, so I'm going to uncheck that, and it should populate a check number for us. And then we're going to say the other account, the other side that it's going to, isn't going to be an expense. It's going to be the sales tax payable. So sales tax payable is where we want it to go. And actually, it's not called sales tax payable. It's called the California State Board of Equalization. You'll recall as we went through there and looked at it, sales tax payable would be the generic name. The California State Board of Equalization is really just telling us who the vendor is within the name. So we're going to pick that item. It's other current liabilities that will be set up as you go through and pay the sales tax by the system. And then we're going to go through here. We probably should put pay sales tax. I'm not going to put anything there though. And we're only going to pay the 123.37, the amount we ran the report for the month of January. And remember what's happening is we got the month of January that we're paying off as of the end of February. So we're writing the check as of the end of February for the amount that was collected in January and is now due at the end of February. So then I'm just going to click off of this item. I'm not going to apply it to a customer. We're not going to bill anybody on it. And that will be it. So once we do this, of course, what's going to happen? It's going to write a check reducing the cash account. And then the other side of it's going to be reducing the payable account to the State Board of Equalization. So we will save and new for this. The system told me that the check number is already being used. And sometimes when we just apply these check numbers, it does that. For like the last check number we went was out of order. So it picked, for some reason, it picked the next number of 1014, which has actually already been used. And I think we're on. And if we go to the check register, we can see which number is the next number in line. And it would also be more apparent if we're actually printing the check numbers. We would have them in front of us, and we can make sure that those are tying out. But I believe we are on at this time 1016 as the check number. So let's try it again. We'll save anew on that. All right, we saved that. I'm going to close this back out and check our financials. So we'll go to the reports on the left side. We're going to start with the balance sheet. And we're going to tab through the balance sheet. I'm going to make it for the whole month or the whole time period, 2 months, 01/01/21 to 02/28/21, January 1st, 2021 to February 31st, 2021, and run that report. So then if we scroll down, we see the checking account. If we click on the checking account and scroll down, we've got the check that we wrote here, the 123.37, 1016, the check. If we click on that item, then of course we see our check. So here is our check. We're going to close that back out. We're going to go back to the report. So back to the report summary. And then scroll down to the liability. Here's going to be the liability down here, California State Board of Equalization. We only have the 100 owed now. And if we click on that, that's because we had all this activity that was increasing the balance here. And then of course we had the balance of 223.37, which we then paid off, leaving only 100, leaving what was accumulated for the second month of operations. If we look through the first month of operations, of course, it stopped here. If we scroll through just the activity for January, we get to this, of course, 123.37, because if we scroll back over, that is what happened through January. Here's the 123.37, and of course, that's what we paid at the end of February, leaving us with the 100, which is what accumulated. All this stuff for February would add up to that 100.